Hey folks, Scott from MSP Navigator. Hope you're doing well today. On today's show, we've got Tim Bowers from HaloPSA. We're going to get a demo from Tim, on HaloPSA today, and we're going to go into a little bit of detail on what the tool is, and hopefully kind of show you how it's different from all of the other PSAs that are available to you. So Tim, welcome along. And I think that's probably the first question I'm going to lead with is like, how is it different from the other PSAs on the market? And like, why do MSPs come to you? I've been in the tech tribe recently, and I see that you've got your own big sort of thread in there now, subforum for HaloPSA. So there's obviously a lot of MSPs using your software. I would love to know why.
Yeah. I mean, one of our major differences, I guess, is that we've only been around for 2 or 3 years. So we've been able to build the application just using kind of more recent and latest technologies. So it's super snappy, super reactive. It's built in React, and it's just a really nice, easy to use interface. You've got the fact that we have only been here for 2 or 3 years, so we've been able to use those. But you've also got the fact that if you compare us to something like ConnectWise Manage, I guess, or some other tools, they've got a load of baggage, I guess, how people used to run their businesses, things that people used to do that they're not doing so much anymore. And I'd imagine from a code-based point of view and looking after an application, it must make it much more complicated to make changes because you're having to worry about backwards compatibility and affecting all kinds of other areas of the program. Whereas I guess we don't have that because we are really targeting just more modern MSPs and the way that things are happening now, rather than having to worry about how it was done 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, and there's obviously there are obviously still older businesses that are running with that, but if you look at where things are going, it's completely changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do find that when we're doing demos or through the sales process with businesses that are running a lot more old school, I guess, there are gaps. There are bigger functionality gaps that you'd expect that we just don't have in our system because we haven't got 15 years worth of code that we've built up. It is only a couple. I think it's 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay. And the history, HaloPSA, it used to be a tool for internal teams. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, we were actually a tool called Net Help Desk.
Okay.
That's what our company used to be called. We used to have one product, and it was just a Windows application. And it didn't really have much of a focus. It was mostly used by internal IT, but also there's probably about 30% were MSPs, and then you probably had about 10-20% that were just service desk.
When was Net Help Desk? When did that start up?
It was probably must be 28 years ago now.
Wow. You know what? The reason I'm asking that is because I'm fairly certain that I used that product all the way back in 2011. So
right, yeah.
halfway through that lifespan, I used it for at least a year or so before we switched to something else.
Yeah, it was a good tool. It was a bit clunky, and it had the baggage, I guess, because it was so old. It had all of this old code that had been written and messed around with, and it's just nice to start with something fresh and use all that experience, I guess, because it's the same team. The majority of it's the same team.
You'll have to excuse my stupidity. We mentioned there a Windows client. Is HaloPSA a Windows client, or is it something that runs in the browser?
It's browser based, yeah. So our new app's just completely browser based.
That's like how technical I am now. Like the more I'm out of the game, like the less technical I am. So you will have to excuse me with these dumb questions, but hopefully I can still. Hopefully the ones that are in the audiences ahead, we can still answer here. So okay, so it's web based. All right, we'll go in and we can share our screen. We can actually have a look at this, and I can ask even some even dumber questions.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Share our screen. But yeah, it's just a nice interface to use. It's focused on kind of more modern MSPs. What else do people love about it? I guess there's things like it's got self-service portal built into it, so you don't have to go and buy another tool. I don't know that other PSAs do technically have a self-service portal, but ours is actually one that people might want to use and show their customers. And something we're actively developing.
Okay, now what do you mean by a self-service portal? Is this is so that an end user can go in and log a ticket and see where their ticket status is? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly that. So they can do that, and that's where people start with it, I guess.
Okay, is that brandable? Like, can an MSP brand it up with their own logo and things like that?
Yeah, they can. So in this example that I always seem to go back and use one of my old trial kind of demo tenants, but this one
Okay.
is Gradient IT, so it's a fake IT company.
Okay.
It's red at the moment, and this is where the Gradient IT employees would log into, and this is their interface.
Yeah.
That can be
Okay.
branded as well, so you can put your own logo on there and your own colors. If I wanted to, I could go and change it in here. If I just go to preferences, I actually
Okay.
quite like having a blue or something like that.
Can you set your own domain? Like, I noticed it's a subdomain of HaloPSA. Is there an option to have your own domain?
Yeah, so most people end up having their own domain in there. So you just pick your own URL.
Cool.
It could be
Excellent.
agent.gradientit.com or something like that. And then your self-service portal might be at support.gradientit.com. So we can kind of accommodate that. So yeah, probably about 50-50 have their own domains. But the self-service portal, I'm just going to switch to it over here.
All
This
right.
will just log me in as how the end user sees it. But yeah, so in this case, Gradient IT's company colors are kind of like this purple and cyan or teal color. So it's been branded to look like their organization. So it's got their
Excellent.
logo there. It's got a background picture, a little bit grainy, but I'm sure you could probably find a better picture than that if you wanted to.
Yeah. No.
And yeah,
Okay.
this is where the user would log into. So your customers would be logging into this.
Excellent.
And yeah, so we've gone to quite a lot of effort, I guess, to make it a nice experience for the users. We've done things as well, like allowing you to use SSO for your users, your end users,
Oh
so they don't
wow.
have to
Okay.
remember another password to get into it. They
Yeah.
could use
Single sign-on.
Google or Microsoft or something to get into it, as well as things like Duo or Okta.
Excellent.
And the other thing, we've embedded it as well into Teams. So if you wanted to, you could embed it into Teams for all of your users.
All right. Okay. So it's just like
So
an app within Teams then.
yeah, so just like this, I think you could still see this
Yeah.
because I shared my whole screen.
Yeah.
And yeah, on the left, you've just got Gradient IT. So
That's pretty cool. I like
I've got
that
my
feature.
calendar or something on my calls, and I can click back and just pop back into my self-service portal. Take a second to load. But I can then go and have a look at reports that have been made available to me, or
Okay.
go and log something through the service catalog.
Yeah, I love that, how that you've got that icon sort of front and center in Teams, and the majority of users know. I mean, I even know myself that um, Teams, I'm in Teams most of the day on these types of meetings. It just has reasons in for this, but
Yeah,
but you're right there. At the
yeah, it's just
click of a button.
yeah. I mean, that's one of the main issues with self-service portals. A lot of the time, organizations put loads of effort into it, and it looks lovely and it works perfectly, but the
Yeah,
end user forgets what the URL is, and they just pick up the phone and call instead because they know what the phone number is, or they just
yeah,
drop an email. So it just helps getting buy-in to people actually using it if you can just put it in there where they work every day. And I know for us, that's basically Teams. That's kind of where a lot of our work happens, and we just know that it's very easy to get to if you want to.
excellent. Okay, all right. That's a really good overview of the self-service portal. You said you were going to show me some really cool features. So that's one of them checked off a list. What are the others?
One of the new ones, I guess, that we've been working on, or we still are working on, is an integration to Microsoft CSP. So that's the
Okay.
cloud solution provider
Yeah.
APIs. So I'm just going to go and pop in and have a look at my integrations list, and these are all of the things that we integrate with.
Wow.
CSPs at the top. You can connect to a number of tenants. So if you do business in the UK and the US and Australia or something like that, I think Microsoft still force you to have multiple tenants to deal with those. So you can set each of those up as a separate tenant in Halo. Enter your credentials. So this is set up to our tenant that we test with.
Yep.
And then bring in your customers from CSP. So your tenants in CSP get created as Halo customers. You could bring in all of your users from those organizations as well. So
Okay.
you don't have to worry about making sure that you've got all of the users that you support, because every day this is running in the background and pulling in any new users that are created.
Okay.
And it's going to pull in your license information as well. So as part of this, there's a bit here about licenses and what to do with them. But essentially, if we look at a customer that's been brought in, so Net Help Desk Limited,
Okay.
they've been brought in as a customer into Halo, and there they are. And if we look at the software licenses tab, we can see these are actual software licenses that have been pulled in through CSP. So we know they've got 2 Business Basic licenses with that tenant, and they've got 2 Business Premium licenses, and they've actually got 1 available at the moment. So this Business Basic one, there's actually only 1 assigned. You can click into that license as well and see who's actually got them. So in this case, Ben Thorpe's got a Business Basic license, but we've got 1 available. So that's our focus for the first quarter, I guess, maybe first half of the year, is really around billing and getting a good grip of who you're actually supporting, and whether they're covered, what licenses they've got, all that kind of information.
Yeah, I know that's a really hot topic just now. You know, there are a lot of MSPs talking about March 1st, and
yeah,
I think the deadline, you know, if you watch this in the future, this is all old news, but the deadline's, I think it's going to be June or July now for the CSP stuff. So
yeah. So we're on that note, I guess there is some specific stuff that you can do with the CSP integration, and this won't necessarily apply to most MSPs.
yeah,
But if you're a direct reseller, you can use an additional API to get the separate subscriptions.
okay,
So in here, rather than just seeing Business Basic, you might see 2 lines, 1 for Business Basic monthly, 1 for annual, and maybe even another one if you're selling annual but paying monthly. So you can separate them all out and track them through to your billing really easily.
Excellent.
Because
Okay.
what you can do with these lines, they're nice to have. It's good information, useful information for support, maybe for your account management and things like that. But the really useful thing you could do is you can start linking them to your invoices. So if we look at an invoice for this customer, so this is an example of a recurring invoice. So this is something you're going to charge them for on a schedule every month or every year or something like that. And you can see on this one, the quantity set to 2. So it's just a static quantity. So every month you'd have to go in there and make sure it's correct. If there's any pro rata or prorated lines, you'd have to add them in manually. But what we can do, now that we've imported the licenses from the CSP integration, we can actually say, rather than have a static quantity, we're going to calculate it based on the license counts.
Yeah, just dynamic. Okay.
Yeah, we'll say that we're going to base it on the Business Basic, and we're going to prorate from the date that the change was added. So when we do that, what we should see is you'll get a little icon there instead, and it will show you how many licenses they currently have of that type. So 2.
Excellent. Okay.
And when the CSP integration runs every day, or I think it might be every 12 hours, if it notices a difference, it basically updates the license table, which is linked to this quantity. So it goes and updates the quantity.
That's really useful. It's going to cut out a lot of time, isn't it? Especially
Yeah,
got a
so
lot of customers that
it should stop a lot of the admin. Because
admin, isn't it?
yeah, if MSPs aren't automating this kind of thing at the moment, they've probably got someone full time or almost full time just doing reconciliation and checking numbers.
This is almost like a set and forget, you know, as part of the onboarding, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of how we suggest it's set up. And then one of the things people might ask now is, what about other software types? Because this is just CSP. So we are aiming to, in April, start basically adding to our list, and CSP was the first one, but we'll go through adding Tech Data and Ingram Micro and everyone else, so that we can get everyone's software information into Halo. Some vendors are going to be integrating with us, I think, like PAX 8, but some of them we're going to be doing the integration. It's just going to be kind of one or the other, and we'll see. So ultimately, we want to get to a point where you're not having to do any reconciliation with your billing, or at least if you are, it's the edge cases, rather than having to check every month for every single customer.
Yeah, I can see how that would take up a massive amount of time, and it's been one of those time savers having automations like this in place.
Yeah, and the other side of it is that, back to the self-service portal, if you wanted to, you could make a report where the customer can click and have a look at what licenses are actually being managed, and have a look at their accounts. You could show them an extra column if you wanted to for how many are available or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can start writing reports that you can then publish to the portal for them, the self-service portal, so they can kind of get a grip on what they're actually paying for, I guess, which is probably a good idea. Some people might not like to do that, but I think it's always good to show them value and see why you're a good option.
Oh, no, no, definitely. I think it's, as I say, it's a big time saver, and that, I mean, for me, that portal's, I would say, it's a game changer for that. But I'm always coming to these things from a marketing angle more than anything else, because you can brand it up, it can be in their face, and the whole branding side. That probably takes us actually nicely into. I noticed you had there's a CR. Is there a CRM within there? Or is that?
Yeah, there is. So if we go over here, you've got the CRM module.
Okay.
And yeah, so this is for lead or opportunity management, creating quotes, things like that. So
okay.
In this
So
example,
you would be using this more as a sort of internal, existing accounts type CRM? Would that be the case?
yeah, well, no, you could use it for new business as well.
Okay.
I mean, we use it ourselves for all our CRM needs, and I guess we're a bit different because we're a SaaS company, not an MSP. But there's similarities. We don't have marketing functionality.
Okay.
So we've got our own marketing tools we use, and if you were using Halo and you are kind of at a maturity level where you are doing a proper marketing, then you would need a marketing tool to run alongside it. And I don't think we will do that anytime soon. We might have some basic capabilities later this year, but I think we're never going to be a kind of first-class marketing tool. It's just not really our focus.
It's not what a PSA is all about, is it?
Yeah, and to some degree, it's kind of the same with the CRM. I'd say we've probably got a 50-50 split with customers that want to use our CRM and have to do it somewhere else, because it's not Salesforce. It's not a fully kind of capable, super complicated proposals and loads of options on your quotes and things like that. It's fairly basic. That we are working on, so that does want to be a focus of ours. But there's tools that we can integrate with. So there's things like Zementum.
Yeah, there's plenty of integrations out there, isn't there? I'm just looking at the list that you've got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's things like Zementum that already do what our CRM side would need to do, I guess. And a lot of it's making things like complicated proposals and looking up pricing that's up to date and getting stock and things like that, that we don't do currently.
Okay, Tim. No, that makes sense to me. No, you mentioned back at the start that some of the I guess it was really good to see some of the core functionality of it as well. Just so we've obviously highlighted some of the cool new stuff, but some of the core functionality, I think, probably just worthy of a mention within here, because our audience is probably, this is what they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, the core functionality that people always seem to always want is ticketing, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's normally why people start the search, or potentially what's triggered it is they need a ticketing system, or they don't like their current ticketing system. And for us, the service desk, I guess, is the core module of the application. It's kind of what we came from, what we started out being was a service desk tool. And the other bits kind of got added until we realized that actually there's way more that we can do here, and there's so much more to the tool than just making a service desk tool. But it's really good. It's a really powerful tool. This is your service desk area. You've got different ways to view your tickets over here. So at the moment I'm in by team, but we'd normally actually suggest people build their own lists out, which I guess are similar to boards, I think, what you call them in ConnectWise. But these are configurable. So this unread one, if I just edit this list, that's showing just tickets that are unread, very basic. But you can then go and start putting your own criteria into these lists, or
All
creating
right,
a
okay.
a brand new list where you might have specific customers that you want to have their tickets showing up. So we can go to customer includes these guys, make your own lists with your own kind of way of working, because not everyone works the same way. But
So
what we
this
suggest
is this managed by the the help desk user, or is it something that's managed to a higher level? Kind of.
there's a permission that lets you edit and create lists.
Okay.
We'd normally suggest it's the help desk manager that kind of keeps control of it. Otherwise, everyone will just create 20 lists, and you want to keep your lists kind of useful. We'd suggest setting them up in a way that you're basically the top list's the most important, and if you've got a number in it, go and do it. The next one down's next most important. If you've got a number in it, go and do it. And you just work like that.
I know how that goes.
I think that's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, if you've got multiple lists that have both got important things in, then you're finished. Like you're going to miss
flashbacks to the help desk. Jeez, 20 years ago now. I know.
Yeah, we've all been there. And so you can make your own lists that are only visible to you. So it might be that the support manager has a different list, so they can keep an overview of all urgent tickets or all high priority tickets or something like that. So yeah, it's really kind of yours to do what you want with.
What about sorry.
I'll just say you can also split the service desk out. So these areas at the moment on the left, you've got service desk, and that's just showing every ticket in the system. But if you want, you can split that out. Some people get more, I guess, as you get larger and more interested in service desks and how they run and how they're supposed to be run, apparently, they want to implement things like ITIL methodology. So they might want to split their service desk out into incidents, problems, change requests, service requests. So you can do that as well. So these areas up here, that service desk is just a configured area where, again, you've kind of got a filter. So at the moment, it's showing all of these different ticket types and these teams. But if you wanted to, you could split them out into more. That's also kind of what some people use for HR or other business divisions that might need a separate area that's got a specific team.
Okay, excellent. So what about, we're doing all this activity in the help desk, and I, as the business owner, director, whoever wants a report, what do your reports look like? What are the key reports out of the system that I should be reporting on? I click of the button that I can get from here.
Yeah, so the reporting's possibly a bit messy in my demo system. But if we click into the reports, you've got a list of reports that just come with the system. And they're supposed to be your out-of-the-box standard stuff. So they're pre-built, Yeah. You've got different report groups up here that you can create. So if you want to create your own report groups, you can. There's probably some in the management area to do with specific SLAs and things like that. If you want to have a look at the tickets.
What would you, out of your experience, what would you say is the most sort of go-to one? Which one's the one that most MSPs are looking for as a basic? Or is that another stupid question?
Well, they'd probably use one of the dashboards, but I don't know what these ones look like because I don't know if I've configured these ones are configured properly.
I'm really putting you in the spot here, Tim. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That one's probably not going to load. Let me just find a different report. It's probably
we can edit this stuff out, by the way, so don't worry about it.
Right. There's probably something like this. This is what comes in the trial. If you start a trial, you get these dashboards.
Excellent.
So service desk, profitability, sales, and then a service desk home screen dashboard.
Okay, let's have a look at the profitability one. Is that one available?
Oops. Yeah. Again, it might look a bit
empty.
Yeah, it's looking
activity.
Empty.
No one's logging their time against what they're doing.
This is a sandbox that I've deleted stuff from recently.
Okay.
If you want, we can go and get a new trial, and let's have a look at what they look like on there, because they probably do have a bit more information in.
Okay.
Right. Let's just start a trial.
Now, if the reason the demo is going like this, Tim did mention to me before that he's not the sales guy in the organization, so
that's my excuse.
Yeah, but this gives you a more true representation of HaloPSA. That's what it's all about.
So here's our trial. That shouldn't take too long. All right, we're in. And we should
That's
have the same
fast.
dashboards in here. Okay, it hasn't got that much information in, so the graphs
Yeah.
and stuff look a bit odd, but
Mhm.
this is basically the kind of dashboards that you can make. So you can have pies, bar graphs, and then charts of
Okay.
data. There's a few other different kinds of graphics or reports that you can make. But yeah, we would suggest using these out of the box, or something like the service desk one for your service desk. But you can go and configure these,
Yeah.
or you can do something like connect to Power BI. So again, for I guess mostly larger organizations, they can connect to our system with Power BI and then
Power
start.
BI. Okay, so that's just out of the box. There's a connection, is there?
Yeah, so they can start just writing their own reports in there.
Excellent. If they've got an
And
analyst in house. Okay.
yeah, if you're in a position to
Okay.
kind of
No,
have that.
the reason I was asking about the profitability, I know that's like one of the main things that, you know, your PSA is all about, is having that just to see who's costing you money and where you're getting your money from.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. There's
I
a
think
whole,
the main output, isn't it?
there's some reports in here that will give you some more information on profitability. So there's things like which contracts are being profitable, which agents are profitable based on what work they're doing every month. And there's probably some more in the online repository as well. So these are the reports that come in your trial, but there's also this online one that you can go to. And these are reports that we've made available, but aren't necessarily in your system yet.
Okay.
So you can then click into one of these, see what it looks like in your system, and then add it to your library if you want it.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And yeah, so you could grab that or update
Like a
it
template.
if there's been changes. And yeah, that comes into your system, so that would come back into your reports that you can start messing around with. And in the back end, they are SQL. So again, if you've got people who write SQL or are interested in that and want to write their own reports, we've got some schemas that you can basically use and write them. So these, just like that. So to some people that will make sense. They'll get excited by it, and some people some people will not be interested at all. But
I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So that it's there if you want to use it. That's kind of how we have it. If there's a report that you like and it doesn't show the exact data you want, you can kind of save as new, and then get rid of the columns or add some filters in. Just filter the data out or in that you actually want. And then once you're happy with your reports, or you like a report, you can then have it scheduled to send you if you want. So you just go on scheduled emails, start a schedule, and say, yeah, I want to get this report every Monday or something like that at 9 o'clock. And that's just going to send out on that schedule.
Excellent. Okay. So we're almost out of time here, Tim, and we've only covered like a little tiny bit at the top of the iceberg, probably, in the questions that I've asked. But probably there's always the question of like, what's your pricing model for the products?
It's just here. So if you just go to halopsa.com and /pricing, or click on the pricing, it's at the top.
I know sometimes this is hidden, so it's just good to have a.
It's not sure why people hide it particularly. Seems odd, but you've got your annual and your monthly options. So that's your commitment length, I guess, and then it scales as you get larger.
Okay, and it's based in team size. All right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just per agent or user. So your guys logging in using it. We do also have concurrent licenses available, although we haven't really fleshed out our pricing on that yet. So that's more of we'll just give you a price for it when you ask. We don't really have an option on there. I think we'll probably will later this year. But so you can have concurrent or light users. We offer those as well.
Excellent. Okay. We are out of time now, so I have to ask you, Tim, how can people get in touch with you? As I say, the questions that I've asked here probably just touched on the iceberg. So what's the best way for people to get in touch? Sign up for the trial?
Yeah, sign up for the trial. Just email me directly if you want. Email sales at.
Okay. What's your email?
tim.bowers@halopsa.com.
Excellent. Okay. Go, Tim. Thanks for being on the show. If you haven't already, check out HaloPSA. Also, check out msp-navigator.com. That's where you can leave a review of your current PSA and give it positive, minus reviews. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.